Thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon. I'm super excited to be here to share some ideas about customer experience. And you know, there's this big paradox in my world of customer experience. It's very simple. Every company that I meet has great intentions. They all want to be customer-centric. They all have the strategy. They all have the PowerPoint slides that tell the world how customer-centric they are. But if you talk with customers, very often you feel that execution is average to low. And this is a feeling that I've had for a long time. I have the feeling that a lot of companies are diamonds in the rough when it comes to customer centricity. They have the potential, they have the vision, they have the resources to do it, but somehow they get stuck. The question is, how can you go beyond that? How can you become this beautiful, shiny diamond that actually makes a difference? But before I dive into those details, I have a quick question to all of you. Who in this room and online had, let's say in the past 2 weeks, a customer experience that was so good that you talked about it with your friends and colleagues and maybe family members? Who was in a situation like that? Can you raise your hand if you had that? Okay, today, we should all raise our hands. You're absolutely right, but before today. I think I saw about 100 hands out of the group of 6,500, which is a little bit sad. And this is the percentage that you get all the time. Between 1% and 5% of the customers had a fantastic experience in the past 2 weeks that was so good that they talked about it with their friends and colleagues, which is crazy because all of us together, we had thousands of interactions with brands and companies in the past 2 weeks. And all of those companies had the feeling that they were doing an outstanding job. They were working really, really hard to give us a fantastic service. And we're like, no. Average, boring, forgettable. Question is, what did you do in the past 2 weeks to 5% of your customers that made them so excited that they talked about this? And where did you forget to do that for 95% of your customers, where you missed that opportunity? A lot of people think, technology will be the solution to everything. We're now living in this world of AI and things will suddenly be solved. I'm not so convinced about this. You know, I have this ongoing discussion with my wife these days about this drawer in our living room. And also about this drawer in the same living room. And my wife has been asking me if I would empty those because she wants to put other things in there. Until now, I haven't done that. That has a lot to do with the flagship item in my collection. And if you are 40 plus, you will agree with me, this is the most influential TV show in human history. This made me who I am today. They don't stream it yet, so I have to keep it. It's the entire series of Beverly Hills 90210. I mean, look at this. Like the... I'm not gonna put that away. But my wife has a good point. My wife has a good point. I'm not watching it anymore. We're watching Netflix now. But the funny thing is with brands like Netflix, in the beginning we think it's wow. After a while we're saying, oh, it's getting expensive. And now you meet more and more people who are saying, I don't find anything on Netflix anymore. So you start to rewatch things over and over again, which is completely irrational. I mean, look at my DVD collection. There are 300 DVDs. Let's say I paid about 20 euros for each of them. So it's an investment of 6,000 euros. Netflix is 13 euros a month, which means that my DVD collection is actually worth 38 years of Netflix subscription. But today we say, oh, Netflix is expensive. I mean, it's completely irrational. Now, I just want to finish this anecdote here. I made a terrible mistake. Terrible mistake. It will not happen again, but I underestimated my wife. Terrible mistake. I've been sharing this story a lot also in Belgium, where I live. And I came home one night after a keynote presentation, and this drawer looked like this. So what could I do? What could I say? I mean, this is how it goes. But this is not just Netflix. This is a pattern with technology. In the beginning, we think it's wow, and after a while, we think it's normal again. It's like the iPhone 16 came out. Who cares about the iPhone 16? It has a better camera. 17 will have an even better camera. I can predict it already. I mean, Spotify is really cool, but we're used to it. Waze is amazing, but now you have more and more people who actually complain that too many other people use Waze, so you end up in Waze traffic jams. I mean, there's always something that we complain about. Question is, what can we do to keep that wow factor high? And you know where I'm going, right? It's the topic of this session. I honestly believe that a superb customer experience can keep the wow factor high. And it's irrational, but it's because it doesn't happen every single day. It's because only 5% of you had a great experience in the past 2 weeks. And again, it's completely irrational, because if you look at the brands that I just discussed, they are world class. I mean, Netflix is world class, Waze is world class. They are top notch. But the fact that we use them every single day makes it completely normal to us. A fantastic customer experience is not something that happens every single day. So because of that, it's a differentiator. This is my belief. If you want to differentiate your company as a leader, it's customer culture that will do the trick, not technology, not something else, not a new product. It's customer culture. If you want to make your diamond shiny, it's about changing the mindset. And I would like to walk you through 4 mindset transformations that you can go through as a leader to become a shiny diamond in a digital world towards your customers. The first one is really about mindset. I mean, I live in Belgium, most of you live in Finland. If I have to summarize the Belgium weather to you between October and June, this is a pretty accurate summary. And if you see this for 2 weeks, there's only one thing that you want in life. You want to see a clear blue sky. It doesn't have to be warm, but clear blue sky. We want to see the sun, right? Or if we have all these nationalities here, if all of us would open up our news app on our phone, this is the summary of our news app. Super negative, but we read it, we get dragged into it, doesn't make us happy, but we keep reading it. As businesses, we need to play a different role. I am still surprised that you have so many companies that actually communicate the things they will not do towards their customers. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Negative communication doesn't work. Imagine that you smoke and you throw your cigarettes on the floor. A sign like this will not stop you. And you can make that a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more emotional, will not stop you. I don't know if you know this, but in Lisbon, in Portugal, there are no more cigarettes on the floor. They solved it since they installed this in their cities. Who's the best player in the world? And you can vote with your cigarettes. Huh? I love this. I love this. But we have a need for positivity in our businesses. Our customers love positivity, and if we do it right, we will create impact. I got super convinced about that 2 summers ago when me and my family, we went to see Gun Maverick. I don't know if you've seen it, but we are big Tom Cruise fans, so we've seen it multiple times. But it's a unique film because it's about the US Navy. It has fighter jets and bombs and rockets, but still it's a feel-good film. No one dies in the film. There's no real enemy in the film. And it's also super predictable. Like in the beginning, Tom Cruise gets this mission impossible. That happens if you're Tom Cruise. And they tell you, it has never been done before. You may die. But the moment he gets that briefing, you already know how that film will end. You see the closing scene when he gets off the jets and with the hugs and the kisses and everything. You already know. The question is this what people want? Feel good, easy to understand, predictable. Is this what customers expect from you? And the answer, my friends, is yes, this is what people expect from you. Gun Maverick was the film with the highest review scores in 2022, was the film with the highest revenue in 2022, best scoring Tom Cruise film in his entire career. So my first invitation this afternoon to all of you is, can you add a little bit of that Top Gun effect to everything that you do in your company? Look for the details, look for automated mails, look for your invoices, look for the communication when you send out emails if people don't pay for the invoices. Look at micro things, but also look at a macro level. But try to add positivity in everything that you do in your customer relationship. It will make them happier. This is your first transformation. The second one is about credibility. I mean, you're all leaders. Very often the problem is that your team and your customers do not believe you that you want to be customer-centric. Something that helps is if you create an always fix-it mindset. A problem comes in and you try to fix it. Some people tell me, Steven, this is impossible because we have some naughty customers out there. And I believe you, you do. The good news is it's a minority of your customers. I like to play with this 95% rule in customer experience. Very simple. Max 5% of your customers cannot be trusted. They have bad intentions. It's never good enough. They're always nagging. They're always complaining no matter what you do. They're annoying. And they take a lot of your mental space. They take a lot of your time. But it's a minority. 95% are decent, normal people. Doesn't mean they cannot be critical if something goes wrong, but they're normal, decent people. The problem is not the 5%. The problem is how our brain deals with the 5%. We cannot handle the 5%. I mean, if you get 100 emails a day and 99 of them are positive or neutral and one is devastatingly negative, at night you think about this one negative email. It spins. You show it to your partner. You say, look. You give so much weight and attention to it that after a while you start to think, oh, the 5% equals the average customer. And then something human happens. You want to protect yourself against the 5%. And you take actions. And what you're actually doing is lowering the service levels for the 95%. The moment that you can mentally accept that some of your customers will take advantage of your goodness, that's the moment when you will be able to deliver a higher quality service. Do you want to see some examples of the 95% rule in action? Like take hotels. If you go to a hotel, you have two types of hangers in those closets. The ones like you have at home, where you do like this, and then you have these things here. 95% rule, because 5% idiots steal some of these hangers, all of us have to use this thing. Or let me show you another example. This is something the Europeans in the room will recognize. It's these beauties. Anyone who thinks this is the best innovation we've ever had, or this is going to save the planet and climate change and everything? I mean, 95% of us, we spoil water all over us now. And the other 5% that threw away the lids is now throwing away the entire bottle. So we didn't solve it, we just punished the 95% normal people. 95% rule. Can you be mentally strong as a leader that you will create services based on the 95% and you accept that 5% takes advantage of that? Do you have that mental flexibility? Does your team have the mental flexibility to do the right thing? Like, I love this video. This is Disneyland Paris. A young man is proposing to his future wife. He falls on his knee, he pops out the ring, he asks a question, beautiful scenery, the girl is very emotional, about to say yes, and then this happens. A guy with the Mickey Mouse hat on steals the ring. See that? He stole the ring and he says, no, wedding proposals, that's down there. You have to start all over again. It is down there. And look at the smile on his face. It's terrible. You know, what is happening here? This guy is following the rules that Disney gave him. Only Mickey and Minnie on stage, right? Only Mickey and Minnie. And he's executing upon that. He forgets that here, maybe it would have been better to wait 40 seconds before taking some action. So yeah, you need processes, you need great people, but you also need the mental flexibility in certain cases, not just you, but also your team, to make the right decision. So, you know, it's not about, as a leader, if you have the feeling that you have to convince your team to be customer-centric, the bad news that I have to share is that probably it means they do not believe you. If you have to convince them to be customer-centric, it probably means they do not believe you. That's transformation number 2. Let's look at the third one. This one is about better understanding customers. And I want to use one of my favorite metaphors for this. It's linked to rhinos. I'm a huge fan of rhinos. I think they're magnificent animals. But there's something really sad about rhinos. Nature made a mistake with rhinos. Nature made a huge mistake. If a lion approaches a rhino, the lion thinks, no, we're not going to do that. Where are the zebras, is what the lion thinks. So nature thought, the rhino, they don't have any natural enemies. So because of that, the rhino didn't get all the premium safety features. It can't see that well, it can't smell that well. And because of that, and this is really sad, a rhino is an easy victim for poachers, which is super, super sad. But there's good news. The rhino has what I call a partner in life. It's this bird, it's called the oxpecker. The oxpecker on the back of the rhino. And this oxpecker doesn't just eat the parasites from the back of the rhino, it also functions as an alarm system. Because these birds, they have great eyesight and they spot humans from a far distance. And when they see humans, they make a different sound. And if the rhino recognizes that sound, then the rhino knows, oh my God, humans are coming, I have to run. That's what the oxpecker does on the back of the rhino. And I believe this is what your customers expect from you as well. It means this. It means that you're always around in a non-intrusive way, and you add value at the exact right moment. I think this is what your customers expect from you. Always around at the exact right moment, not intrusive, and you add value. I'm so happy that you're all taking pictures of this slide. That means that you think it's interesting. It also shows some self-awareness, which is really cool. I just heard Pep talk about all the parties that are planned for tonight, so you guys know what is on your schedule tonight, and you know tomorrow we got another full day of presentations. So chances are by Friday morning, you have forgotten everything that I talked about. And then on Monday, you're back in the office, and your customer experience person comes and says, oh, how was the customer experience part? You will say, oh, it was great. We had Will, we had Steven. What did Steven talk about? Well, yeah. And you will have to think deep, and you will say, a bird and a rhino. And they will say, oh, was he crazy? I mean, what did he do? What was the message? And then you will have to think really, really deep. And you will say, I remember now. Steven told us that we have to be always around. That was it. Please, no pictures of this slide, please. This would be too dangerous for the future of your company. Because if you only do this, you will not be the oxpecker on the back of the rhino. You will be the fly on the back of the cow. And I don't want you to be the fly on the back of the cow. Thank you. Because if you are, you're indeed always around, but you're super disturbing and you don't bring any value whatsoever. So we're not gonna do this. We're gonna be the oxpecker on the back of the rhino. We're always around. We're not intrusive. We add value at the exact right moment. This is your picture opportunity. And you know, if you want to do this, it's about creating a culture of empathy in your organization. And I know how difficult this is. So I brought a few tips to make you, or to help you to become more empathic. Here we go. Tip number 1. Observe your clients in the wild. Like imagine that you would be selling pans. Then you see, oh, this lady, she wants to make pancakes. That's good. Let's look at the other customer. Oh, she has a different need. Observe them in the wild is tip number 1. Tip number 2, learn to read between the lines. It's not because a customer tells you to do something that you have to do exactly what they tell you to do. Read between the lines. That is tip number 2. Tip number 3, don't be too hard on your team if they have to grow in things. Like what you see here is the guy on the bike is actually a bus driver in Peru. And he got complaints that he was driving too close to bicycles with his bus. So his management said, well, we're gonna teach him. And they placed him on that bike for an entire day. So I'm not sure if this is the best approach. But you know, empathy in a business context is sometimes very vague. So I try to make it a little bit more concrete, and I call it effective empathy. I had the pleasure to work with the guys from Atlantis de Palm in Dubai. Known for its outstanding customer service. And I talked with their management team and said, how did you achieve that? And they do many things. But one thing really stood out for me, was really eye-opening. They have like this daily ritual. Daily ritual. It's very pragmatic. Every day, their leadership team has a meeting about customers. Maybe 15 minutes or so. And what they do is super, super easy. They look at all the questions that came in from the day before, from guests, and they look for questions where they don't have an answer for. And if that question is also relevant for other guests, then that same day, they will install a new process. And I thought, wow, this is it. This is what the customer wants. This is the combination of fast feedback loops with fast action loops. That's what customers want. Combination of fast feedback and fast action. A lot of you collect data about customers and feedback, so you have the feedback, but usually we start to play manager with that. So we make a report with 3 strategic conclusions and 5 projects per conclusion, and then in the next 14 months, the customer doesn't feel any difference whatsoever. So can we change that? By combining fast feedback and fast action. If you want to play this game, you need to master the art of keeping things small. It's a accumulation of many small things here. And if you succeed in that, you create, in your company, you create the ability to say yes more often. And I believe that's a fundamental part of being customer-centric, that you create the ability to say yes more often. Because customers are not used to getting a yes. Customers are used to go into a fight. And when they get an unexpected yes, they can be very surprised.
I bought this cheese here, it cost me $40, and there is a hair stuck to it.
Oh yeah, we can take that back.
Wait, what?
Here.
Wait,
Okay. Take this. Your next purchase is on us. Did you want to fight?
Yes, please. I would like to have a little bit of a fight.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where's your receipt?
I don't have a receipt.
Okay, take it back without a receipt.
Oh yeah. Well, the name of the store is stamped on the cheese. Okay.
How do I know you didn't just beat up somebody and steal it?
Who does that?
You might.
Really?
Yeah, you look like the kind who might.
I am going to go on Yelp and I am going to give this place a scathing review. Scathing. I'm going to blow up the internet. I'm going to break it.
Oh my God, you scared me so much. Please
Yeah.
take our money. Leave the cheese.
Thank you. Thank you. Was that so hard? It's called customer service.
Fine.
Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you. That was
You're
really
so welcome. A lot of people really like that. See you again. Bye.
People are not used to getting the yes. And if you do, you surprise them. I create this metaphor for it. I call it the open door button culture. Are you familiar with these buttons from elevators? And you know this moment, right? When you're all by yourself in an elevator and the doors are slowly closing and you're looking forward to being alone in that elevator so you can shamelessly admire yourself in the mirror. But just before the doors close, you see another person on the other side that shows the clear intention to come on board with you. At that moment, you have a choice. You can say, "Not today, my friend," and bam, you close those doors. Or you can be the open door button hero of the moment and say, "Come on in, 5th floor, glad we could make it." You always have a choice. Like, I was giving a talk in London a few months ago and then take the train back to Belgium. And I was running late and there was this huge line at customs and I just knew I'm gonna miss my train. So I started to text my wife saying, "I'm gonna miss this train, I'm gonna be home 2 hours later than planned." Bad news, but you know, these things happen. I'll keep you updated. But just before I pushed send, there was this security guy who jumped in front of the line and he shouted. He was like, "Who's on the train that is about to leave in 5 to 10 minutes? So I raised my hand, 3 others did so as well. And then he shouted again, he said, "To all the others, do 1 step to the left." And they did it, they actually did it. It was like, vroom, vroom. It was like Moses and the sea opening up in front of me. And I made it on the train. I mean, he was my open door button hero of that day. And sometimes people tell me, "Yeah, Stephen," with that saying, "Yes, we don't have time, we don't have money." I mean, this is a 2-second time investment. This is a 0 money time investment. You always have a choice. And this is the 3rd transformation, where you show the customer that you understand their needs, you translate them into small changes in the market that lead to the ability to say yes more often. That's transformation number 3. The last one that I'm going to talk about is customer loyalty. I believe in marketing that we have screwed up loyalty completely. It's super, super transactional and the initiative starts with the customer. So I have to buy 10 breads with you and the 11th is for free. Or I have to fly with you 50 times and then you fast track me through security. I have to do a lot of work and then I get a tiny little thingy back. And it works, huh? It's a marketing trick that works, but it doesn't create loyalty. Loyalty is something emotional. So I really believe that as a community of businesses, we are asking ourselves the wrong question. We always wonder, how can we make our customers more loyal to us? That's fundamentally a wrong question. I think it starts from your side as a company and asking yourself the question, how can we show more loyalty to our customers? I think this is the right question. What if loyalty doesn't start from a customer side? What if loyalty starts with us, the business side? I've been playing with this concept for a while. And a year or 2, 3 ago, there was a lady in the audience that hurt me talk about this. And she works in a chocolate factory. And she came home and she thought, I need to do something with this. So she made this plan. She said, we have all these innovations of chocolates coming in. What I want to do is I want to give every innovation for free as a sample to all our customers every time. So it's about 10 times a year that I want to give away 2 free chocolates. And the definition of a customer is you once bought something with us. Can you imagine how the board discussion goes if you launch an idea like this? They said, Isabel, just thank you for the idea. Thank you for the idea. But to make sure I understand your idea correctly, you want me to build an entire new production line. You want me to produce 10 million chocolates, and you want to give those away for free. Is that your idea? And then she said, well, if you say it like that, it doesn't sound so smart, but that was my idea. Yeah, that was my idea. I mean, in most companies, you would get fired for an idea like this. This is value destruction instead of value creation, right? And still, this is exactly what Neuhaus decided to do. And Neuhaus Premium Belgian Chocolate, 10 times a year, they sent all their customers an email saying, hey, we got something new. If you want to try it, go to our stores. We got 2 chocolates waiting for you for free. Question is this now brilliant, or is this the dumbest idea in the history of business ideas? They've been doing this now for 2-3 years, and you could say it tends towards brilliant. First of all, not everyone picks up the free chocolates, obviously. And then you have 66% of the people who do pick up the chocolate. You know what happens, right? They come in this store, they see all these beautiful things, they have a wonderful smell, they have human decency, and they say, you know what, we're visiting friends this weekend, we'll buy a gift here while we're here, or it's almost Mother's Day, we'll get the gift here. So what is basically happening is that this is, as a result of their generosity, a lot more people come to their stores, most people have human decency, and they buy more. And mentally, you have to accept that 1 out of 3 walks in, gets the free stuff, and walks back out. That's fine. Since they've been doing this, they had faster growth than ever. Loyalty starts here from their side. And an idea like this, you know, if you do the typical approach and you throw this in an Excel sheet, then it becomes really depressing really, really fast. And sometimes the best customer service or experience ideas, if you throw them in the traditional philosophy of how you work, it will never, ever happen. You can kill ideas really rapidly with an Excel sheet. A friend of mine always said there are more lies or there's more fiction in an Excel sheet than in a Word file these days. It's about doing business from the heart, and that's the foundation of loyalty. Now, I've been studying loyalty quite intensively the last few years, and it's complex, but I try to simplify it. Basically, if you want to have loyal customers, you need to do 2 things right. You need to get the basics right, and you need to add emotion to that. And that sounds easy, huh? Getting the basics right, but for a lot of companies, that is still a major thing. So I would like to invite all of you to become friction hunters. Can you go home tonight as friction hunters? And friction hunters are people with an eye for detail, who see where they waste the time of customers, where they make it too complex without any reason, where they frustrate customers. A friction hunter identifies those moments, and a friction hunter knows with limited efforts we can solve this. That is what friction hunters do. Like Walmart is a fantastic example of that. Walmart has a lot of people who buy their groceries online, but then they want to pick it up in store, but people don't want to wait for a human to give them that. So they installed these huge pickup towers in all their stores. So people order online, they go to the store, they scan their QR code, and in a few seconds they get their groceries. So what you see here is a way to remove the friction of waiting in line, which is great. But then they were saying, okay, this is not going far enough because people still need to park the car, they need to walk to the store, they need to carry everything back. Those are a lot of frictions. So what if we change the parking lot into a drive-thru? So people order online, after work, they pass by the Walmart, we put everything in their trunk, they don't even have to get out, and 30 seconds later, they're gone. So they remove the friction of finding a parking spot, walking, carrying, which is wonderful. But then some critics said, yeah, but what if I don't drive home passing by a Walmart? Doing a detour is also a friction. You said, yeah, that's right. That's when they started with in-fridge delivery. 1.6 US families now have Walmart in-fridge delivery, which means that they order on their mobile, someone from Walmart goes to their house, they're opening up the door with digital locks, they film everything they do, and they put the groceries nicely and neatly in the refrigerator. So you come home and the party can begin. So they removed all frictions. But some people say, no, I disagree, because for me, that other human in my house, that would be a friction. I mean, if you don't like humans to do the work, no problem, huh? Then we send in the robots. So you see, there's a solution for every friction. I have to be honest, I'm a big fan of robots. These are my favorites from Boston Dynamics. I recently had the pleasure to visit the actual factory of Boston Dynamics. I always like the videos, but I can tell you if you're in one of their demo rooms and this machine is approaching you and they tell you it will stop, you really hope that it will stop. Huh? This is an extremely scary machine. But they give me a tip that I want to share here. If you would use them in your warehouses or so, just treat the robot with respect or feel the pain. So that has a little side story. But Walmart is a great example of a friction hunting company. And you know what the good news is about friction hunting? Everyone in your organization can be a friction hunter. Doesn't matter what your role is. It's just having an eye for details and knowing with limited efforts, we can really make a difference here. That is what friction hunters do. That's how you create that simplicity that people really value. And then you can add emotions to that. Now, to discuss this part, I would like to introduce you to one of my favorite books in the world of customer experience. It's this one, The Power of Moments by Dan and Chip Heath. I love it. And it contains good news. It tells you that you don't have to add emotion every single time. It would drive people nuts if you would do that. You have to choose the right moments. They've done their research by investigating what a visit in Disney World looks like. And Disney World is fun, of course, but not every step in that day is fun because you have to wake up early. Huh? You want to maximize your day, but waking up early in vacation isn't always fun. But you do it anyway. And then you go to the park and you see, oh no, hundreds of people woke up even earlier than us. So it's like a first disappointment. But then you have Space Mountain and you think, oh wow, fantastic. The adrenaline goes through your body, you're super happy. Then you're hungry and you have an overpriced average quality lunch. Then you wait in line for a few more hours. You do some more rides. And just at the moment when you get sick and tired of the whole thing, they have their closing ceremony with the iconic Disney music, fireworks. And you think, this is the happiest place on earth. Thank God that we came. They call this the kiss goodnight at Disney. Now, the interesting thing is, if you do research about every step of that day in Disney World, your average score is a 6.5. But if you ask people a week later, how was your day in Disney World, your score is a 9.5. This, my friends here at the Nordic Business Forum, is the power of moments in action. What you need is a peak and a transition. Looked at from the customer point of view. Those are the two elements that define if you will feel good working with an organization or not. So one of the questions that you need to ask yourself is this: what are the crucial moments in your customer relationship? Seen from the customer point of view. It's not necessarily when you sell and when you deliver. It could be different moments. And how can you make them memorable? How can you make them memorable? And that is how people will actually talk about you and become part of that 5%. And that is the last transformation that we're going to go through. 4 transformations that help you to become customer-centric in a digital world. As you see, for me, the essence is not the technology. The essence is what you do in terms of mindset, and the technology will be a tool. What I would love you to do is to think about that Top Gun effect. Add some of that mental flexibility. Understand that we're going to deliver services for the 95%. When you have a chance, be the open door button hero. Remove the frictions and understand how you can add emotion at the right moment in the relationship. Those 4 transformations help you to get there and to eventually become that beautiful shiny diamond. Now, I'm at the end of my talk. I just want to end with a quote of Admiral McRaven. He's famous for his speeches that he gives to students in the US. He's a former Navy SEAL. And he says, if you want to change the world, start by making up your bed every single day. Because If you can't succeed in the small things in life, how could you possibly succeed in the big things in life? This is, for me, the essence of customer experience. We overestimate the impact of one strategic project, and we underestimate the impact of 50 small improvements that you can do rather easily based on mindset. I think that all of you can be more customer-centric as from tomorrow without additional budget. I want to end with sharing one story of one of my favorite customer leaders. When I show this picture, you guys shout. Oh, no problem, I will help, that's why I'm here. When I say Brian Chesky, you say Airbnb, or who is also good, yeah. No, Brian Chesky is the founder and CEO of Airbnb. And I don't know if you know the founding story, but he was a product leader. He studied product development. There was a conference about that in San Francisco. He lived on the East Coast, so he took his car, drove all the way to San Francisco, wanted to book a hotel, couldn't afford it, called a buddy, he says, can I sleep in an air mattress in your apartment? They did that. They went out to a bar. They heard other young people say, we can't afford it here. They said, what if we buy 3 more air mattresses, we put them on the floor, and we rent them out on a small website, Air Mattress B&B? And that's how they got started. But they said, this is such a silly idea that no one will invest in that. I mean, who would invest in that? So the only way that we can make this a success is very simple. The first 100 people that actually sleep on an air mattress in our apartment, they need to have the time of their life. It needs to be the best experience ever. So they talk about it. And we're not going to wonder about scaling to 1 million. No, it's about these 100. And once they achieved that, it was like, how can we do the same now for the next 1,000 so that they talk about it? How can we do it now for the next 10,000? And eventually this became the Airbnb community. I mean, all of us, we know Airbnb, but none of us through advertising. All of us through word of mouth. So I want to leave you with one invitation, one call to action. I would like you to go home and think about what you will do different next week with the next 100 customers that you will serve. What will you do differently? With one goal in mind, you want them to talk positively to others about your service and working together with you. And I believe if you keep that mindset, not wonder, how can we then scale it? No, focus on the next 100. And if you do so, that will help you to become that beautiful shiny diamond. Look, I'm at the end of my talk. If you like my work, you're always welcome to join me on my socials. I share content about this every single day. But I would like to end with a present. Oh, we need to put the sound a little bit down. I got overexcited here. I want to end with a little gift. I really want you to do something with this. So I created a workbook based on my talk here. It's completely free. You can download it with this QR code. I don't ask for email addresses. It's like Neuhaus. It's like free stuff. It only has one goal in life. I would love you guys to work with this philosophy. And my dream is that you all become shiny diamonds and make your customers happier than you already do. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.